he said to me, he was like, you need to take off all your clothes and be sprinkled. But like a lot of my straight friends were like able to do what they wanted when they were like 13, 14. And I didn't really have that until I was 18.
Now, it's funny because it's like there's a difference between saying, oh, I'm sorry for doing that, or going, I'm sorry you feel that way. Because you're not apologizing for what you did. You're just apologizing. You're like, oh, I'm being empathetic towards how you're feeling right now. But that's not apologizing for what you did.
Would you say, and this may be maybe me just like assuming, so forgive me, are you a good matchmaker?
I've never tried, so I don't know.
Because you're quite like you're quite charismatic.
Oh,
so in my head, like I would assume that you'll be quite good at like matchmaking people.
Yeah, I've never tried it, so I don't know if I'm good at that. Okay. Is the honest truth.
Fair.
So, yeah, people have asked me, but I think that the reason I'm hesitant to do it is because if it doesn't work out, it looks like it could be because I did a bad job of matching, but maybe it doesn't work out because they were trauma bonding, or maybe because somebody did something, or maybe because whatever reason. Like you can be compatible on paper, but not on an individual basis. So I think it's very difficult to succeed as a matchmaker because there's too many variables that you can't control for the success of the relationship. And
it's a bit awkward because my thing is, usually more than not, when you matchmake people, you know both of them relatively well.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Very
then
true.
If that like has a downfall, that's a really awkward dynamic. I've tried to matchmake friends before. It's worked for the night.
Okay. Yes.
But then there's no follow up. Do you know what I mean? And then it's just I've never had it where it's like made like any long term effect for me.
Cool, that's good.
But I know friends that have done it and they've been like, Jord, honestly, it's such a bad move.
Yeah.
Because you can't have those friend meetups anymore. It's not happening.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Of course. So true. Yeah. I don't think I'd step into it.
Fair.
They'd have to pay a lot for me to be like, okay, I'm going to be responsible for making sure to matching you up.
To be fair, though, we were talking about other business ventures. Maybe like if you're ever looking for like a new avenue in like however many years, maybe it's a not now. Yeah.
As opposed to never. Mm-hmm. But it's not something, it is not an attractive endeavor for me at the moment.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
I really do love the idea of it, but then like practically I'm like, do you know what, maybe it's not going to fall through. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting one.
So you don't have like any like nice like tall like black friends that like 25-year-olds?
I think I know a few.
Just out of curiosity, just asking for obviously.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I think I know a few in the acting industry for sure. I definitely know a few, especially because half of the time we're all auditioning for like the similar roles anyway.
Yeah.
So like if I see a role, the breakdown before I go in, it's like I already know who's going to be there. Do you know what I mean?
Well, like you know the type of people, or you know the people exactly.
I know the people because we see each other all the time.
Cool.
So there tends to be like a group of people who, especially if you're kind of working and they're working as well and it's going well, like if it's a really good role for a really good show or something, it's like, okay, I expect X, Y, and Z to
also be competing with me.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Fair.
Yeah.
Question, like obviously, so how long have you been in the acting industry for?
So I graduated 9 years ago now from drama school. Yeah.
Cool. And like, so because I'm so intrigued by it, right? Because I feel like I know a lot of content creators who wanted to be actors.
Oh, no way.
That's a really common thing I find because I was like a drama kid.
Okay.
Until like, I think I got to like A levels and I was like, you know what, I don't fuck with this. But from the ages of like 11 to like 16, I was like, yo, like I'm definitely going to be the next like Idris Elba. I was certain of it.
Yeah.
But then obviously I was like, fuck, I can't deal with the competition in a school.
Yes.
So God forbid what it would be like even wider, you know?
Very true.
But my question to you is then, so like what like, because I'm really intrigued by it, like how do you, maintain the drive?
Maintain the drive. Oh, that's a good question. I've been quite fortunate in my career. I booked a really good job straight from drama school. A lot of time work gets work.
Yeah.
So my journey, I've been blessed in the sense that I love what I do. So I think, which is
rare.
Yeah, which is rare. So I think the passion for it, and it's play for me. I think I've been fortunate enough that I've kind of set myself up in a way that I don't have to take it for the financial reasons, which means that I can take the jobs that I want to do.
Yeah. It's not like to make ends meet, right?
Yeah. And I think when it, sometimes and obviously we all have to live, do you know what I mean? So when you have to take a job and you have to consider the finances, and it's kind of like, okay, is this creatively filling? Is this a right direction for where I want to be in 5 years' time? If the main factor becomes a financial thing, but it doesn't say yes to those other questions, and sometimes I think that can really demoralize someone. Yeah, 100. I think. But that's the reality. We have to consider the 100%. Financial aspects.
And to be fair, I was reading this thing. So I have a friend who's doing his MA in, I want to say script writing.
Okay,
or something like that.
Yeah.
And the average freelance actor, a year, average, across the board, obviously neglecting the big boys, it's not even 20 bags. It's really not a lot.
No,
it's really not a lot.
There's only I read this statistic years ago. I wonder how relevant it is now, but apparently only 5% of actors are working at any one time.
Only 5% of actors are working at any one. And do you know what I find, Matt? How a lot of people emphasize about how you need a route to get into the space. Yeah, that's the common ground, right? More than not. But then you find these and obviously this isn't to shit on them. But you find these random people who have just had luck at the hat, whereas you have actors who have gone to drama school, done the most, done every training course under the sorry, I need to stop cussing. Under the sun.
Yes.
And they're not having nowhere near as much luck. There's a lot of Netflix are really pushing this incentive now for inexperienced actors, which I think is a great route, obviously, because not everyone has the facilities or the accessibility to actually go to drama school to do even extra curriculum,
Very true.
But then it's a bit of a kick in the face for them ones who have been doing the most since they were 14.
Very true.
And they're they're hitting 30 and they haven't had their break.
It's so true. The beauty and the curse of this industry is that there's no linear way to do it.
Yeah.
So it's not like becoming a doctor. You do your A levels, you go to uni, you do med school, do your placement, then you start at a hospital or something. There's no linear way. So it's like you said, you could go to drama school, you could do all the courses under the sun, get your agent and stuff, and maybe your time into that circle, into that space hasn't come yet.
Yeah, agreed.
And equally, you could have done nothing before, but then you're just so right for the part, and then you're cast in Top Boy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of this industry, is that because there's no one linear way to do it, a lot can change very quickly. You just never know. You just don't know. I don't know what I'm going to be doing this time next year. And that can be nerve-wracking for a lot of people, of course, but also exciting, because I don't know. Maybe I'll be shooting in the States next year, or, maybe I'll be doing a show in Opera House in Hong Kong or something. Do you know what I mean? Last year, show at the Garrick, show at the Opera House, then I was in France, then I had a meeting as well in the States. So you just never know. And then this year's been quite quiet. I start shooting for something in a month. Then I've got 2 films I'm in that are coming out later.
Wicked.
But then after that, I'm just let's see what happens.
What's the dream role?
Je vais in Les Mis.
Camp. Love that.
Yeah. I think I saw Norm Lewis do that role. He's a big Broadway actor.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I saw him do that role, I think it was for the 15th anniversary of Les Mis, and that's kind of what started me in this industry. And then I met him, which was amazing for me, because I was you're the reason I started this path in the first place.
What's that like then? Because a lot of people say you shouldn't meet your heroes.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. So I was in Tina at the time, and I was doing it with Adrienne Warren, and she's American, incredible actress. And she was like, "Oh, I work with Norm all the time. He's going to come and watch the show. I'll introduce you." So at the end of the show, there was an announcement on the tannoy being like, Kit, can you please go to Adrian's dressing room? All the boys were looking at me like, what did you do? What you've done? I was like, I have no idea. So I knocked on the door, and then Norm opened the door, and he was like, Kit, I've heard so much about you. And I was like,
Oh, I love
oh,
that for
wow.
you.
And it was great. And we went for a walk on Trafalgar Square, and then we ended up at Freedom, standard. But it was nice to meet him because I had so much respect for him as an artist. So I think it was I just picked his brain on, what he's learned, what's helped him, what hasn't helped him, what stage I'm at, what he thinks I should be focused on at that point. And he was really open and helpful. So for me, my experience was really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. And I think also, kind of going back to what we said before, it's almost like quite refreshing in the sense that anything can pop up at any time. Do you know who this is? I don't know why I use him as an example, but he's the guy that always comes to mind. I always use David Harbour.
I know the name.
Stranger Things, Hopper. What else?
Who's in Stranger Things?
The policeman.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That was his first big break, and he was like in his mid-40s.
There you go.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, that I literally use that example for everyone. I'm like, guys, David Hopper. Not
Very
David
true.
Hopper, sorry, David Harbour.
David Harbour, yeah. I mean, Morgan Freeman didn't hit his big time till he was like in his 50s.
Same with Viola Davis, I'm pretty sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now they're like some of the biggest names on the planet. So that's the beauty and the curse of the industry. You just don't know.
But then it's also like, I don't think everyone has the patience to be able to wait that long, which is completely fair. I can understand why, because it's like
100%.
when you want. I think part of the issue is we want to be like thriving whilst we're young.
Yes. Everyone wants to be young and rich.
Yeah. Too fucking right.
But I think being young, rich, and famous, while is amazing, I think if you haven't done the growth to know where your important values are, it can destroy you. And
we see it quite a lot, don't we? Yeah.
If you don't have the right guidance, the right values, know how to look after yourself.
The right team.
I can't remember who said this. Who said this? I can't remember who said this, but they said a lot of people, the reason they aren't drug addicts is because they can't afford to be.
I've seen that, but I can't think of who said it.
I can't remember who said it.
I've seen it on TikTok.
And I'm like, so true. When you have means, all the good things and the bad things about you is exaggerated. It's just not popping off.
It is. I just had a mini panic, but no, we're all good.
You good?
Yeah, because they're moving. Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
Don't you hate that?
Yeah.
I was like, hang on one second. It's because all of them were on this.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, what the fuck have you done?
What's happened?
But then I saw, okay, they're all on air. I was like, okay, no panic over, we're all good.
Yeah.
This is the issue when you don't have a team.
I know. I mean, for my shoots, I've got, my sound producer, so he worries about that.
Love that for you. Yeah, I'll manifest that day.
Do it, man.
Yeah.
Do it.
Are you a believer in manifestation?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, same.
100%.
Same.
When I started meditating consistently, maybe this was about 5 years ago, that's when not a whole life changed, but I felt like I had beer goggles on with the world.
Like a shift.
And they'd come off. And I'll never forget this. And sometimes I write when these things happen. I'll write them down. But I remember I was dropping off something at my dry cleaners, and I usually pay straight away in cash. And he was like, I was £2 or something. So I gave him a £5. He was like, oh, I don't have any change. And I was like, how do you not have change? You take cash, but you don't have any change? So I was like, okay.
That's so cheeky.
I was like, how does that make sense? I had a really good meditation session that morning. And I was like, okay, I don't want to just go to the shop to like just buy like a pack of gum to get change. So let me see if I've got change in my car. My car was like 300 yards away. Between that time of me walking to my car, a guy came up to me and he said, hey man, this is going to sound really random, but do you have a £5 note? I've got 5 £1 coins. And I was like, yes, I do. Some random guy came up to me, asked for a £5 note to give me 5 £1 coins, which is the only time ever I've needed that. At that point, not a coincidence. And that was the first major thing. And then I started making notes. Anything that happened, so many things have happened. Like, I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in...
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like manifesting manifestation.
I
don't know, like in the sense that like is preaching the right term? I'm like hoping for manifestation,
Sure.
but I don't think anything's come into practice yet. But then someone said to me, how did someone word it to me? A friend of mine, they were like, you're very selective, like
Right.
dependent on like my mood. To say like I've had like a really bad, it's the same with like we're praying in a way.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry if anyone who's watching this is of faith, because as am I, but obviously, yeah, you know how it is.
Sure.
Tune in, tune out. But it'll be very much like when I've had like a really heavy day, that's when I've got like my manifestation cap on, right?
Yes.
But then people are like, Jord, like, I'm not being funny, but it needs to be like a full-time thing. Do you know what I mean? You can't pick and choose. And it's the same with praying, to be fair. I've had it before where like I'll be in and out. I think I've like strengthened my relationship with God because of grief, right?
Yeah.
And then again, when a bad day happens, I'll be like, okay, let me do my thing. But then people will say to me, Jord, like it needs to be regular. Like it's not going to like, you can't pick and choose, which is completely fair and quite selfish on my behalf, to be honest. And I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
But no, it makes me, I need to be more like consistent, if you will.
Yeah, I think my experience is that it's about what are you vibrating on, what frequency you're vibrating on. And we all go up and down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Inevitably.
Yeah, like when I've been on a low vibration, like something happened a couple of months ago, just everything was going wrong. Everything. So
it's always the case, isn't it?
Yeah.
One after another.
But then when you're on a high vibration, which starts with our thoughts, right, to raise our vibration,
Yeah.
things just fall into place. And really the energy that you are exuding and sending out is what the universe will return to you.
No, agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we always dip in and out. Like that's normal. That's going to happen.
I think it's about finding the balance though, because I think at the same time we have to remind ourselves that we're only human and things inevitably happen. So like give yourself a break.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? But then, yeah, I'm just trying to find the balance, I think.
I get you.
Are you spiritual?
Yeah, I'm quite spiritual. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you religious?
I believe in God.
Okay.
I believe in God. I come from a Christian household.
Cool.
But I am more spiritual as opposed to practicing a specific faith.
Same.
Is what I would say.
Same. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I went to a psychic last year.
Interesting.
For the first time ever. It was crazy. I've said this on here before, so if you guys have watched it, please skip. But this man, you go to his yard, and it literally looked like it was Halloween.
Really?
With like obviously like all the colours and all of that, and he had like, and even in his house, it looks like Halloween. Like it was crazy, and he's got like these like, I don't know how to describe it. Like not Halloween music, but kind of like spooky music playing as you go up to his like room and all this.
Okay.
And he was basically saying to me, so this was concept of time. This was October, November. And he said to me, he was like, okay, so my vision is that you have, because he read my palms, said I'll have a long lifeline.
Nice. Which
Which is a bit iffy because I don't know if I want to like live till like 90, to be honest.
Okay.
But that's a story for another day.
Okay.
But he said like, I'm very doubtful, which is true. But the thing is, a lot of these things are quite generic and they're quite applicable to a lot of people. So I'm very much like, I'm not too sure.
Yes.
So he said that. And then he said to me about how my life is meant to get dramatically better this time of the year.
Interesting.
Well, technically he said spring, but I'm going to give him some leeway and like aim it to the end of August. I'm
yes, I
feeling
love
generous
that.
because like when it got to like May, I was like, these things aren't happening. What's going on? And I thought, I can't go to his house just yet and ask for my 30 quid back. So I thought, let's.
I was supposed to be the new diary of the CEO at this point, and it's not happened, man. Like, give me back my money.
But then I did work with him, like his team, like the week after. So maybe that's
Actually, that's true. I mean, that's a new connection,
maybe
right?
he wasn't there, to be fair, but his team were wonderful.
Yeah.
So then there was that.
That's so funny.
And then what else did he say to me? Something about how like my career is meant to like go out the roof. But
Nice.
but then in my head, did he actually say 2024 or spring? Because loads of my friends have been recorded it, but like in the moment you just don't think like that, right?
So true.
So I'm kind of like, my like take or vision on whether spirituality is true or accurate is kind of based on this. But then my friends were like, but what if he's just a con man and spirituality is real? You've just gone to a Diddy. So
I mean, that's a good point.
I mean,
I don't, you tell me what you think. I don't believe in horoscopes. I don't believe that.
is that the same thing as like astrology?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as in like, oh, you're a Capricorn, which means you are X, Y, and Z. I just don't, I don't believe in that.
I don't, but I find it interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting to read.
Yeah.
But kind of for the similar reasons, a lot of the things are generic positive things,
Mm-hmm.
I'd believe the negative things.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, now, no, you have no incentive
Yeah.
to be pleasing to the ears. So you're probably just going to tell me what you actually think about it. That's more interesting to me.
He because he did like a card thing as well, and one of the cards was death.
Yeah.
And I thought, right, okay, because there's been quite a bit of death, and I thought I can't hack anymore. But he meant death of bad habits.
That's great.
Really great. And I have stuck for the first time ever. I've actually stuck to my New Year's resolutions.
Congratulations.
Never happened.
That's great, man.
That's like my biggest flex.
Yeah. Take it though. Like that's a win.
Yeah, people really don't make it past like, the end of January, to be fair. So
They really don't.
They really don't. But then the bit that really got to me was when like he said that I'm cursed and like I'm going around in a familiar pattern. And I thought this could be multiple things like the work I'm in, which I'm not too keen on, like some habits which I haven't been able to shift. And I said to him, I was like, well, what's the resolution? And he said, and this is what my friends were like, nah, Jord, he's a con man. He said to me, he was like, you need to take off all your clothes and be sprinkled.
Okay,
right?
interesting.
So but like he has to do the sprinkling.
Oh.
And this is like an old man, right? Like older than my dad. So I'm just
you have to bend over and allow me to penetrate you. That's the cure.
It's the only way out. So then at that point, I was like, okay. And I said to him, I was like, how long have I had this case? He said, oh, for a fair while. I was like, well, I'm still here. So let's just keep it moving. I was like, I'll roll it out for a bit longer and I'll come see you in another year. And if the curse is still there, then we'll talk.
I would love to have watched that conversation you had with him.
Can you imagine the look on my face? Like, try not to come across rude. And I thought, right. Okay. Yeah. I just thought, this must be a joke. Where are the cameras?
I'm getting punked.
It's you being framed, surely.
That's so funny, man.
But yeah, I have an interesting relationship with spirituality, I'd say.
I get that. That's cool, man.
But I'm really intrigued by you, and I said this to you before we were talking. So like I was actually trying to research finding like people in the UK that are open about open relationships. But annoyingly, UK people are very restrictive, but each to their own. It's your privacy. And I never want to do anything that like puts people in their outside of their comfort. Well, no, I guess we all do that, but like outside of their comfort zone to like an excessive level.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Especially to talk in front of a camera for like 2 hours. It's a bit intense.
Very true.
However, whilst failing to find that, I found your stuff, and I'm really like intrigued by you. And I think, and I mean this in the nice way possible. Generally, when I see straight men doing podcasts, I'm like, oh, right, okay. Because I usually, unless it's like one of the comedians, I think of like, oh, it's going to be like, minus Stephen Bartlett, because that's my guy.
Yes.
I think, oh God, is it going to be something like Andrew Tate or like, what's that other guy called? Is it Joe Rogan?
Oh, Joe Rogan. You think he's on the same vibe as Andrew Tate?
No, but they get compared.
Oh, do they? Oh,
they do get compared quite heavily. But I've never like engaged in Joe Rogan too much to like know that much. It's only from the clips I've seen I've been like, oh, this isn't for me, skip.
Right.
But you have like a very like I'm very intrigued by you because you have like a very calming nature.
Thanks.
And like a very like a calm approach, I'd say. Like it's quite admirable.
Oh,
I think it's quite impressive. I like your stuff a lot.
I appreciate it.
You're a dating coach.
Yeah.
How did you get into that space? Can you talk me through it?
Yeah, of course. So I've always had male and female friends come to me for dating advice. And they've said that my advice has always been really helpful and useful for them. And so I started putting it out on YouTube for fun, and then I started gaining traction. And then people started messaging me saying, hey, I really like your content, really like your advice. Could you guide me in this situationship that I'm in or this dating scenario I'm in? And I was like, yeah, sure. So that's when I started coaching people. And then I enjoy these conversations. So I started inviting like special guests on, onto the podcast and started that avenue. And then, that's kind of, grown as well. So yeah, and now we're here.
Love that for you.
Here. Yeah.
So what are like, for you and for like outsiders, what are the green flags in a relationship?
In a relationship or like dating first?
Okay, let's say initial attraction.
Initial attraction. Also green flags in a partner, like as in, let's say you're on a date with someone.
Yeah, hypothetically, yeah, let's say that.
Okay. One that, how do you say this? Okay. I'm trying to think of like a scenario that I would do. So one that they are, firstly, I would say on time. Really, I think that's it. You start strong.
This reminds me of that conversation you had with that woman. How late did she say she was?
That I had with which woman?
It was quite recent.
Oh, Oh yeah, she was an hour late.
No,
She was an hour
I'd be
late.
gone.
And I think first impressions, they're not everything, but it says a lot. I think because you're not late for your flight, right? So
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's selectively late. I am quite late, to be fair. But I'm trying to improve. Not so much on dates though. I don't think. Just
Yeah,
for meeting friends, which is just as bad, to be fair. But yeah, fair.
that's fine. That's more chilled.
But I get it for a first impression when you're like, because you're trying to. Well, you'd like to think you're showing your best self.
Yeah, you want to show that you're making an effort.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think really it's about, do they listen? Are they a good listener? Like, is it a flow of conversation?
Yeah.
Do they talk to you or are they talking at you?
Yes.
There's a really big difference with that.
Agreed.
And I think I'd say red and green flags for what a guy may look for, maybe what a woman would look for in a guy. Some things are a bit different. But I think first date, just friendly conversation. Red flag, I'd say if there's a level of excessive drinking. Just because.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would say that because, as in, there's nothing wrong with obviously having the drinks on a date, but if they're encouraging to have drinks, I'd be like, are they coping for something? Do they feel that they can't be themselves unless they're drunk? Are they trying to get you drunk? Do you know what I mean?
Which is
Are they trying to loosen you up for some reason? So yeah, I would say that's a good place to start from. Just someone who shows up on time, has clearly made an effort because they want to make a good impression, is a good listener, as well as people can be open at different times. Not everybody's going to be open straight away. But yeah, and then if you manage to talk about, your values in terms of what you're kind of looking for, what's important to you, just seeing that they're in alignment with that, really.
That's really interesting because I was saying this before when I was doing my chat with myself earlier, and I was saying I'm trying really hard to limit my alcohol intake because I find that my dependency is quite heavy on alcohol and social situations. So as a curator, I go to events, I network, and more than not, I have to go by myself.
Yes.
Because my thing is like, a lot of people are in the same situation. So I'm like, just suck it up, right? Yeah. And I found it like where I've like drank too much, I've either gotten like overly excited or like the complete opposite, where I just look like a prune. Right. And I remember I went to this event and I met these podcasters who I absolutely love, and I'm certain they thought I was on crack. I'm certain they thought I was on crack.
Yes.
And I remember like thinking, it went really well. And then I was talking to my friends about it, like, Jord, what the hell? And they were like, oh, like, are you like, did it go that type of way? Like, are you sure? Like, because obviously like your vision can be a bit blurred when you've been drinking. So I showed them, and I took a picture with them because I knew that people wouldn't believe me if I told them I met them. And they're like, Jord, they look so uncomfortable. What the heck?
That's hilarious. Who was it, can you say?
I will tell you after. Actually, let me type it to you quickly now. But,
okay.
Just because...
they're quite big podcasters.
One of the biggest in the UK.
Oh, wow. I'm trying to think. Who would have been? What?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
They're great. They're hilarious.
Fucking hilarious.
They're
Made
so
me scream.
good.
Yeah.
They're so good.
Yeah. Because at first I thought, are they being rude? And I thought, no, they think you're on crack, mate.
They think you're on it.
Because I have like...
You're wired.
I have like these things I put in my ears, right? It's like a noise cancellation thing because my ears just can't cope with excessive noise.
Okay.
So like, it feels like... sometimes it feels like I'm screaming, and I think that probably didn't help either. But we'll see. I haven't met them since. They probably saw me with a list and thought, nah, fuck this. Not again.
That's hilarious.
I feel like, I don't really know, because I feel like my green flags change quite frequently.
Okay.
In the sense that, like, I think my standards were quite low when I was younger. But I think as, like, I can't speak for everybody, but like, as like a queer person, a lot of us don't really have the opportunity to like date until we're a bit older. Like a lot of like, and forgive me for having this presumption because also I'm not straight in it.
Yeah, of course.
But like a lot of my straight friends were like able to do what they wanted when they were like 13, 14. And I didn't really have that until I was 18.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels that my like encounters have been somewhat delayed.
Yes.
And the way in which I moved as an 18-year-old is the way that my friends moved when they were 13, 14.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. I think green flags, I would say, and this is more after the date,
Go on.
is ask yourself, did I feel comfortable with this person? Do I feel like I got to know this person? And did I feel like I was able to share about me and it was received? And if you answer yes to those questions, I think that's definitely worth the second date.
100%.
Because I think the first date, yeah, there's like obvious red flags, but it's really an introduction.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's really an introduction to seeing if the energy is right with this person, if the vibe is right, etc. Those things after the first date.
How do you feel about people oversharing?
Well, that's really subjective, I think. I think it's really subjective because what's oversharing to you might not be oversharing for me and vice versa. And it really just depends on... Because some people are just really open.
Yeah.
And some people, it takes them a lot to be open. And sometimes some people are just... They're not ready to receive that level of intensity in the beginning, but some people are just really here for it.
From like the jump, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's really subjective, I would say.
Okay.
I think there are some things you don't have to share on the first date.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Agreed.
Yeah, go on.
But they're like, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But then there are certain things that I feel like I need to know it quite soon on because I don't want my time wasted. Do you know what I mean?
Can you give me an example?
Well, like I want kids.
Sure.
So I need to know if they want kids. Obviously, but asking that on the first date is really fucking intense.
I hear that. But there's a way to ask it without saying, do you want kids?
Give me an example.
What would you like your life to look like in 10 years' time?
That's quite smooth, actually. I like.
And if they go, oh, well, I'd like to live here, maybe have a dog.
But no mention of babies.
If there's no mention of kids, because most people, how old are you?
25.
You're 25. So most people in their 30s, if they want to have kids, they usually envision themselves having kids in their 30s. At least at that point,
usually,
they'll have.
More than not, yeah.
More than not. So if you're like, oh, where do you see your life in 10 years' time? What would you like it to be? And they mention kids, that's a green light.
Yeah.
And if they don't, you can go, oh, like, would you not want kids? Seems way more subtle than like...
Do you want children?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because my worst nightmare is like being mesmerized and like falling in love with someone, being like absolutely obsessed.
Yes.
For you to be like a year down the line.
Yeah.
And for it to not, for them, those wants to not be like the same. So I have a friend, a very good friend. He has been with his boyfriend for a while, and he recently found out that his boyfriend wants kids and he doesn't.
Right.
So I was like, well, what do you do? Type of thing. And he said to me that he was like, the thing is though, like, because it's difficult because I do think in relationships you should somewhat compromise.
I agree.
Somewhat, not entirely, because there are certain things I just don't think should be compromised, and having kids is one.
Yeah, you can't have half a kid.
Do you know what I mean? Like I've heard like so many horror stories where like women have gotten pregnant, and the dad really didn't want it.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And I just think, in my head, I think I'm never going to have that problem because obviously not straight. But then I think, like, do you have that conversation before, or do you not put precautions in place? But I get obviously people do things which obviously don't always align with what they want to do.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? That I feel like, I think it's really important to have that conversation initially and to put precautions in place so things like that don't slip up. Yeah,
I think, but when you get into a relationship, I think those conversations should have been had in a sense of what would you like your life to look like, and see if that's in alignment. Because if it's not, then you're just not compatible for what you want in life.
Of course.
So, and that should happen. It doesn't have to be the first date, but that should happen definitely. I would say before you get into a relationship.
Agreed. Yeah.
Establish it. I would say
100%. Yeah. No. Okay. I think if I had to give you my green flags, what do I say they are? I think ambition's one. Sure. Ambition's a big thing.
Yeah.
And like not even in the sense where like you have to make like, because I feel like we're in a time now where people are very materialistic.
Very true.
I'm not really fazed by that. I just want someone to have drive. Even if I was to be with someone who like didn't make loads of money, because I've noticed one thing when I've like met guys before, and a lot of guys, their only personality trait is going on about money.
Right.
And they have nothing else to provide.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I like emotional intelligence.
Yes.
It like, do you know what I mean? Like intellectualness.
Yes.
And I think money has become quite a big overrider.
Yeah.
Which kind of neglects other traits.
I think it does. I think having a lot of money does a lot of the initial legwork in terms of
Initial interest, yeah.
initial interest
Yeah.
is what I mean. Yeah.
Oh no, sorry. I thought you were right. I was just saying my.
Yeah. No, but I agree. I think that's a better word.
Yeah.
Initial interest. I think, guys having a lot of money does a lot of the initial interest legwork for sure. Because it's like, well, if you have a lot of money, you might not have to be funny on the date because you can take them to the Shard. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I would love to go to the Shard, to be fair. So I do hear it.
It's quite nice.
Can't say I've been. If you find one of your actor friends to set me up with, let me know. And
Yeah, sure, man.
I'll double date at the Shard. That'd be cute, wouldn't it?
I'll put you in touch.
Sweet. But like, I think ambition's a massive thing for me. Because even if you like have like an average pay job, whatever, that's like I'm not phased by it. As long as we can do stuff as a couple, that's my main thing.
100%.
But like, if you were to be someone who's so involved in like community work, that's so attractive to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's like a massive green flag. Or someone who does like volunteering work.
Yeah.
Or even if you like work in like a job which people may look, because I don't job shame at all. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think it's really weird.
Yeah.
But say you were to work in like, I'm not going to say what because people come for it. Say you do something which isn't as desirable compared to a lot of things.
Yep.
Even like aspiring to be like the deputy or like the manager of that, that's ambitious in my head.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
I'd say that's the same thing for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I do think though, when people say they want someone ambitious, I do think there is a financial component when they say that.
More than not, yeah.
Because if a guy is like, oh, well, I want to be the person who's read the most books ever. So that's still ambitious.
Yeah, agreed.
But it's not there's no tangible things that comes along with succeeding in that ambition.
And it's not like the traditional like vision of like being ambitious.
Sure.
You know?
Right. So like, would that count as that guy being ambitious? I mean, technically he's ambitious,
it's not the way that I would see ambitious.
Exactly.
But is it fair to say that it's subjective then?
Not subjective. I think that when people say they want
objective, I always get the words middled up.
Yeah, I'd say that when people say they find ambition attractive,
yeah,
I think there is a tangible component to it that we all mean, but it's just never said. And the reason I gave that example is because that example reveals the fact that there's a tangible financial aspect that we mean when we say ambition.
Oh geez, not you coming for me in my own show, but yeah, fair.
No, do you know what I mean though? Do you know what I mean? But it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it.
No, but
let's be honest.
No, yeah, fair. Maybe the community work will pay.
Yeah, exactly. It's true.
Okay. So what do you think are like the components for like a healthy relationship, would you say?
Sure. I think listening. Maintaining your standards for you. So the thing that makes you attractive, I think maintaining those standards for yourself, and that's not just for you, but for your relationship too.
Cool.
And the commitment to growth in yourself and being able to take accountability.
Do you know so many people can't as well?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people take criticism as a personal attack.
Yeah. And I understand that. But also I think a lot of people try and shift the responsibility. They say, no, well, the reason this happened or whatever. And some people, we can't control others people's behaviors, of course. But we have to be able to go, okay, even though this didn't go well, like what role did I play in it? So if I'm in this situation again, how can I handle it better? Even if it wasn't your fault. I think if we all have that mindset, I think relationships would be better for sure.
But do you think though, someone should be apologizing when it's not their fault?
No, I don't. No.
Because I've seen it before. I see this like, I don't know why, what's the example? I probably see it in shows quite a lot, so I don't know if this depiction is completely accurate.
Yeah.
But I've seen it a lot of the time where like a guy and a girl will be having an argument and the guy will say sorry and the girl will be like, what are you even saying sorry for? Like, do you even know why you're saying sorry? And the guy will just usually roll their eyes and be like, I'm just saying it to get you off my back. Yeah,
I disagree with that. And someone might call me stubborn, but if I don't believe I'm wrong, I will not apologize.
Yeah.
Like if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to be like, I should have done better, my bad.
Yeah.
But if I'm not, I'm not apologizing.
And if you were to apologize when you don't feel that way, that would be like a continued pattern, which I think is probably not the best.
Well, you're being dishonest. Now it's funny because It's like there's a difference between saying, "Oh, I'm sorry for doing that," or going, "I'm sorry you feel that way." Because you're not apologizing for what you did. You're just apologizing. You're like, "Oh, I'm being empathetic towards how you're feeling right now," but that's not apologizing for what you did.
Do you know, I had that situation at work not too long ago. So
really?
I had a colleague that wasn't my person, and then because colleagues watch, I'm going to keep it tame. But a colleague that wasn't my person, and they were completely in the wrong, like completely. I can't even sugarcoat it. And anyone who's watching, you know exactly who I'm talking about. They were completely in the wrong, and they messaged me and said, "I'm sorry you feel that way." And I thought, "What do you mean you were rude? there's no apology for sorry and feeling, but you should be apologizing because of the way that you moved."
Yeah.
But but one thing about getting older. I say it like I'm old, but one thing about like maturing is me realizing some people will never acknowledge their mistakes.
Sure.
And if it's not someone that I'm not in close proximity with, I just have to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. You could just be like, "Cool, that's you."
Just keep it moving, but we're not moving together type of thing.
Yeah, you know? I completely agree, man. Yeah.
Whereas if it had been like, I don't know, like a close friend or a family member, I'd feel a bit different. We're like, look, we need to find a midpoint.
Yeah, we need to understand.
With people that you have to be around, but you don't really have a bond with them, it's okay, let's push it to the side.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can. I don't think there's anything wrong with, even if you didn't do anything wrong, there's nothing wrong with going, "Oh, if this is how it came across, I'm sorry if it came across this way, that wasn't my intention."
Yeah.
So if I say something and it does come across rude to you and you're like, "You were rude to me, Kit," I'll be like, "Oh, okay, like that's not what I meant when I said this, so I'm sorry if it came across that way. That wasn't my intention."
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not apologizing for what I said. I'm saying that wasn't my intention to offend you in that way if that's what happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think taking accountability takes a lot of pride. Is pride the right word?
Yeah, you have to let go of pride, for sure. You have to let go of pride.
I think it's really respectable because I don't know if it's just the people that I interact with or have to, because it's not, when I say this, it's people that like aren't my close ones, just ones that I'm around.
Yes.
And I think it takes a lot for a lot of people to like actually like swallow their pride and like be like, "Yo, I'm sorry," like.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, no, I agree. And it's a shame because the second you do that, a lot of the time it means that the other person feels that they can disarm themselves as well. So sometimes leading by example really helps. So being like, "You know what, I apologize. This is what I did and I shouldn't have done that."
Cool. Yeah.
And then a lot of time it helps them let go of their pride and they go, "Okay, I don't have to fight my battle. I can, like, me too. I did this wrong. I should have done this better." Do you know what I mean? So when you can be generous in that sense, I think that's really healthy for a relationship.
Okay, no, the psychic said to me that I should find love this year.
Oh, okay.
Do you believe in like? I don't believe in this. Do you believe in actively looking for love?
No. I believe in growing into the person.
Yeah.
Who has the relationship that you want.
Cool.
So we all have an idea of the kind of relationship we want and the kind of person we want to be in that relationship. So focus on yourself in growing into that person. And then being open. I think there are things that you have to be practical about. So if you're like, "I want to meet someone this year," but you stay at home all the time.
That's my problem.
Someone's not going to walk into your bedroom. Well, they might, but it's unlikely. So definitely put yourself in environments in which you can meet people, but I don't think you have to like be searching.
Like literally like on the, okay.
No. And I think stay open because you can meet someone and they might turn out to be a friend, which is great. You've met a new friend and then they introduce you to someone who's then your person.
Yeah.
So I think staying open to connections and putting yourself in environments where you can meet people, you do that, you're going to meet someone.
Yeah, this is my thing, because I think to myself, I'm a bit like, because I don't, honestly, like, I think because my job is quite social.
Yeah.
Like I was saying to you before, after I just want to go home.
So true.
Like, you know what I mean? I like, it's not like, obviously I love it. Like, and there's no denying that, but like talking nonstop for like 4 hours, it's not a natural thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not, is it?
Yeah.
And, I find that like I probably don't go out as much as I should for someone who do I want to find love? Not actively, but I'm open to it. And I think to myself, I don't really leave my yard, so what do I expect? And like my thing is, I just like, and I don't know if this is like a trauma thing, but I find that like when guys approach me, I think it's a bit of a joke. So like,
Why is that?
I don't know. I just find it really hard to believe that someone could be interested, which is quite sad, really. I think
So
it's
that's an issue with your self-worth. Right.
yeah, need to unpack really.
Yeah.
But like, I've had even for example, so I went to an event. I don't know if you're familiar with Colour Factory.
Yeah.
Yeah, and is it Shoreditch or Hackney?
I think it's in Shoreditch, yeah.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, and some guy came up to me and said to me, "Oh, like I love your glitter." And I was just like, "Okay, what's the catch?" And my friends were like, "Oh, you dumb!" Like obviously he was trying to say hello, and you've just like dismissed that.
Yes, yeah, very much so. Why do you think you're not worthy of being approached?
I don't know. I feel like the way that we like vision like the typical like queer isn't someone that looks like me. Or
Really?
the typical not idolized, typical
It's not like standard or
yeah, let's go with standard. I don't think I meet the standard. So then
interesting you say that. Sorry to cut you off. It's interesting to say that because so, I work in musical theatre. Half of my friends are gay and they're all just very versatile in terms of what they are, how they hold themselves, what they bring. So it's interesting that you feel that way because I feel I'm straight. I think the archetype for the ideal male and ideal female is very linear in the narrative for straight people, but I feel for gay people it's a lot more open. But maybe I'm wrong. You tell me.
in what sense do you think it's more open?
I think that the types, people's types are at least. I'm literally going from my gay friends who I've talked to. Like their types are more versatile. Like okay, if I'm saying for like a woman's type, I'll go okay. If he's over 6 foot, is in great shape, has a great smile, and is funny.
Guys are like that.
Most women are probably gonna want him.
Yeah, guys are the same.
I get that. But then, and this is, you have to tell me, this is like,
It's okay.
you have different, so one of my gay friends were telling me, like, you have like a bear, and you have like, what would you call it? I'm trying to think.
Bottom and top.
No, I know, but, I know that part. No, but like different, it sounds so bad, I didn't even say it, but it's like different types of physical like types for a gay man. No, so you have like a guy who's like a bear, and then a guy who's like, bear keeps coming to mind. A bear is like a guy who's like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you have different types, like, oh, this guy is that. And some people, at least some of my friends, they're like, oh, I like a twink. I like an otter. I like, a guy who's a bear and stuff. Whereas, at least I think for straight people, I don't think we have that. We don't have that.
Yeah, it's like a subculture, isn't it, in a way?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess that's why I was like, oh, I would have thought it sounded like from the outside in that it's more open.
I'll tell you what, though, I think it's very different in London. I think it's very different in London. Where I live is very white dominated, very much so.
Yeah.
So I think my preference. No, sorry, I know my preference is men of color, but that's more like a culture thing.
Right.
Like I'm not one of those. You have those like guys that are like want like a BBC or girls even. Sorry, either I want to be. That's not my thing. That's not my driving force.
Right.
It's just I feel like I've exhausted myself trying to explain why I have to wear a bonnet.
Right.
And why like my food smells or tastes a certain way. I don't have that issue. I have that issue less because obviously not all black people are the same.
Yeah.
I have that issue less with people of color. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And I think, to be fair, I really do understand like racial comfort. Even for like white people, I completely get racial comfort. I think it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
In my opinion, because it's yourself. Like, how can you not be attracted to what you look like?
Sure.
In my opinion, because
I get you.
I know people get annoyed when I say that.
No, I get you.
I've had a few ruckuses. But yeah, I think for where I'm from, it's very much like black men, mixed race men. They want to be with like a white boy. Right.
Interesting.
And then in London, it's more like diverse. Like I was really surprised when I started doing this because obviously like I talk about dating on here quite a lot, and like I usually somehow in the conversation talk about types. And obviously majority of my guests are black or mixed, and vast majority, I think apart from maybe 2 or 3, I've been very much like, no, like I want someone who's like me.
Right.
So I think also, I think the environment really shapes it. I think it really has a contributing factor.
Yeah, I
without
hear
a
that.
doubt.
I definitely it definitely has an influence.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I do get it though, because obviously, like, not to generalize, but a lot of mixed race men, from what I've seen anyway, this may not be across the board, a lot of mixed race men generally, their dad is the black one and their mum is the white one. From what I've seen, it's not the case for me. My mum's black and my dad's white.
Yeah.
But for a lot, it is the other way around.
Yes.
And I think naturally, if you see your dad, your man figure, with a white woman, it makes sense as to why you would also like lean towards white women.
I hear you.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that definitely it's definitely an influence.
Yeah.
Like I think there are definitely quite a few strong influences into what our preference is or what we're drawn to. But also I found it can change over time.
Yeah, mine has.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Do you know what I mean? It can change over time for sure. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So do you say your dad's white?
Yeah.
Dad's white. But so would you rather be with a white guy or a black guy? Do you feel a more of affinity towards a white guy or a black guy?
Do you know what it is? I don't think white guys really rate me, to be honest.
Really? Okay, interesting.
I had to put up with it when I was like younger because there was no one else around.
Yeah.
And the fair few that were also wanted white men, so there was no point even like trying to make an attempt.
Interesting.
So I don't know if that's had like a subconscious like contribution as to why I feel the way I do now. Despite obviously the culture similarity.
Yeah.
But
you kind of see it as that's an arena that you feel that you can't play in.
in what?
As in like dating white guys. Because you said you feel like, you don't know if they rate you. So when you think about a potential partner, that's not even a consideration.
It is a consideration.
Oh, it is a consideration. Oh, okay. Fair.
I don't agree with the exclusion of entirety of a race. Doesn't make sense to me.
I agree.
Because I think as humans we generalize.
Very true.
But like it's really important to remember, even though because I men bash quite a lot, right? But I have to like remind myself this is not applicable to every single guy on the planet. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not fair to say that. It's even like obviously like a lot of the issues that come into the world are because of white people, right? But like we can't blame every white person that we walk past. It's not that. It's not their fault slavery happened.
Very true.
Do you know what I mean?
I agree.
So I try really hard not to generalize, but like it's hard not to when you're coming up with these like takes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Well, not coming up, but like making these takes, you know?
Yeah, I get that. And especially if you're making the takes from your own experience and what you observe in the world, and you're saying, oh, I recognize this pattern.
Yeah.
So you said most mixed race people, they usually come from a black dad and a white mum. That doesn't mean there aren't mixed race people where their mum's black and their dad's white, but you're like, this is a pattern that I've recognized, and that might be the case for 90% of people. There's nothing wrong with saying that. And I agree in terms of, race. Like, I think the way you say things sometimes, like, makes all the difference in terms of, so if someone says, oh, I don't date white guys, or I don't date white girls. It makes more sense to be like, I'm yet to meet a white girl that I've wanted to date.
Yeah.
You're not saying you
Agreed.
don't date white girls, but you're just saying, I just haven't met one that I want to date.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Because the way that you saying that you just don't full stop is quite dismissive.
I agree.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, like, compatibility can go a long way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
For sure.
For my thing, it's like, if you bounce off someone so much, why let that barrier get in the way?
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree.
But-
I agree. You have to stay open.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair. I'll tell you one thing I keep on seeing online at the moment is this like debate about whether or not people should put out on the first date.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because let me give my scenario actually. So I was talking to a guy. He found my videos, which is sometimes I feel a bit hit and miss about it because a lot of people just don't agree with the shit I say, which is fine because obviously I'm really open to debate. So that's cool.
Very true.
So he was, I found your videos. I think you're interesting, yada, yada, yada. I was like, oh, okay, sweet, cool, whatever. But I'm quite reserved until I'm given a reason not to be, because I think respectfully, I don't know you.
Yes.
I actually don't know you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of like I said before, I think queer men can sometimes expect a lot of immediate affection. And I'm sorry, it's not coming from me. Like, it's not coming from me because I don't know you. Stranger danger is a real thing.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah.
So I was talking to this guy and he said to me, he was, oh, I would love to take you out. And I feel like, and I was really like wowed by that because a lot of guys, sorry, not even guys, let's not generalize. I feel like a lot of people don't want to go on dates anymore. It's very much about like going to the yard, going for a drive, which at 25 just is, I'm not rolling with. Sorry, like my petrol's expensive. Come on, let's not be silly.
Yeah.
But that's like a common thing, right? It's very much like, oh, just come to the house. I think and then and bear in mind, we haven't even met. I mean, I don't know you from like Tom, Dick or Harry. Do you know what I mean?
Very true.
And I'm that person now where like my location is always on to my friends when I meet someone.
Yeah.
Because I'll even tell them that. And if they're funny about me having my own location, that's a red flag. So quite clearly it's not worth it.
Yes.
But yeah, so this guy said to me, he was like, oh, let's go on a date. I was like, okay, cool. I think it got to about 2 or 3 days before. And he said to me, so what are we going to do? I was like, I don't know. I love an activity. It's like you said yourself, I'm trying to drink less. So I'm trying to maybe have 1, 2, maybe 3.
Yeah. Nice.
But I like doing something because I find the whole sit down, meal, drink quite robotic.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? And
I
think it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. I think we don't want to talk about it. I think that makes more sense when you're established.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Because
an activity is always fun to do first.
Agreed. So obviously people don't ask me on dates, so I was quite excited by the idea of it, yeah? And then he was like, oh, so what about after? I said, well, I'm going home and so are you.
Did you say that?
Something along those lines. I can't remember.
Hilarious.
He's blocked now, so I can't remember.
Okay.
And then I was like, well, to be honest with you, like, I don't really tend to do that on the first meet, right? And and I was genuinely shocked by this. And this is the fact that I have to remember that nothing should shock me.
Right.
Because his mentality was, well, we're going to do it eventually anyway, so we may as well just do it now.
Damn. Damn.
And my thing is, I just think, but I think the opposite, because I think if you like me that much, why can't you wait? Where's the harm in waiting? However, I'm very for my friends doing it the first time if they want to, because do you know what I mean? When you really like someone and obviously like things happen, why would you not if you want to? But for me personally, I just think, why can't we wait? So my question, that's really long-winded. So my question to you is, what's your take on people doing it on the first date or the first meet?
I would say if you're looking for a long-term relationship, it's a no.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for something casual, do your thing.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I think if you're looking for a long-term relationship, especially regards for guys, is that sometimes a guy doesn't know whether and also I guess I'm talking more, heterosexual relationships, so you can tell me what it's like, being a gay man. But a lot of time, a guy won't know if he likes someone after he has sex with them. And it's like, oh, did I like this person or was I just really attracted to them? And so I think it's really helpful if you look for a long-term relationship to provide the space for a level of emotional intimacy to form before you have the physical intimacy.
Agreed.
So that's my take on it. Some people like say having sex on the first date doesn't matter and shouldn't. For some people, it might not matter, but I do think for most people, it does. It's very different if you build a level of companionship first and then do it than just jumping in. It's different.
I do have friends that who have had sex on the first date and they're together and they're solid.
Amazing.
And I think it can work. I just think it's a rare find.
Yeah.
So I have two kind of like takes.
Yeah, go for it.
If I'm like, because obviously we will have a sex drive inevitably. Mm-hmm. Mum never makes it this far into the episode. It's fine. My thing is, okay, if this isn't like husband, wifey, like just whatever, like stick it and go.
Yeah.
And but like I've had it because I'll tell you what, because I've like dated like seriously two guys, and they're not recent, and they're probably not that I really meet that many people because of where I live, but I made it a massive thing to not do anything the first time we meet because I just think you can wait. If you like me that much, you will also wait. And if you're not willing to wait, then you're not for me.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that if you like someone, you're serious about them, I think it shouldn't be a hard thing to understand that maybe they move at a different pace to you.
Yeah.
And so just because you're ready, and if you do like them, you'd be like, oh, okay, cool. I'm willing to, go more at your pace if you're not ready.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be an issue. Like it shouldn't be an issue. I think if it is an issue for me, if a guy has an issue, or girl, but if a guy has an issue or girl has an issue with not having sex on the first date, that's a red flag.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's a red flag.
Agreed. And I think also because and generally the first time you have sex with somebody, it's never going to be perfect because you don't understand each other's wants and all of that.
Yeah.
So for it to also be on a first date when you don't really even know each other as people, really. Do you know what I mean? But again, I do have quite a few friends where it really has worked. I can think of 2 close friends where they're in very long-term happy relationships.
That's great.
So big up them. Do you know what I mean? It's refreshing to see. But for me, I'm just a bit do you know what? Let's just.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that if you have sex on the first date that it's not going to turn out that way. I just think if you're looking for a long-term relationship, that's just a better practice than doing it.
Yeah, there's no reason as to why you cannot wait.
I agree.
I've really considered celibacy.
Tell me more.
So
Why?
I have a friend who didn't for a year, and he said it literally changed his life.
What did he say?
He said that because obviously, young men, I think I say young men. When I say young men, I feel or is it just men in general? To be fair, because a lot of men I know, even my friends that are older, are quite full of testosterone.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of men find it difficult to withhold urges a lot of the time, especially if you've been out, you've been drinking, you've met someone, you know the drill. Do you know what I mean?
The drive and intense. Yeah,
this is it. Yeah, the anticipation's heightened.
Yeah.
And he said to me, it's changed the way that he approaches people, and he feels better and healthier for it because how did he word it to me? And the sex that he has now is more intimate and more meaningful.
Yes.
What's your take on casual sex?
If you want to do it, feel free. I don't think there's anything wrong with having casual sex. If you're looking for something long term, I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
I think not everyone, but I think there are more people than we realize who use casual sex to cope for something else, or they use casual sex to feel loved.
Agreed.
Or to feel validation.
Agreed.
For attention. And so if you're using it for something, that's quite unhealthy. But if you're doing it because you enjoy it and you're just indulging in it, as long as you're being honest with the people you're doing it with, do you, man? It's a free world.
I do think that people also, though, a lot of people engage in it hoping it will be long term.
Yeah, I think that's silly, I'll be honest.
I think it's very silly.
Yeah.
Because more than not, one person does get attached. Not always, but sometimes. And to be fair, to give creds to people where due, because I've had a lot of friends that have done this, and they have made it very, very clear they do not want anything. But a lot of the person on the opposite end will be very much he'll give in, they'll give in eventually. And I'm thinking, rah. But then to be fair, my friends are a bit low key demons for but then but then at the same time, I've had it before where a friend said to me, but I've made it very clear, I've made it very apparent, what else should I do?
Yep.
But at the same time, you can sense when someone's getting the feels.
So I get that. Here's my token. You might not agree with me. I think if one person says, I'm not looking for anything serious, it's just casual, and the other person says, yeah, but in their head, they're like, I'm going to change their mind, that's them not taking no for an answer. It's the same thing as if you approach a guy and, he goes, oh, I'm not, thanks for your approach, not really feeling you, but I appreciate the approach. And you go, nah, I'm going to change your mind. You're taking no for an answer.
Would you say then that's kind of
because that means a person who says yes but wants something serious, they're not being honest because they actually don't want something casual.
And would you also say that's not really consent in a way?
Consent to what?
How do I word this? Consent in the sense that because you're saying that someone says one thing and means another, and the other person is very strict on what they want and what they don't want. But then the other person has it in their head that they're going to change their mind.
Yep.
I personally think it's kind of like a form of not consenting. Obviously, not like not in the sense where it's literally like obviously like force play or whatever.
Of course.
But like in a way where it's like you've kind of, because apparently like withholding something is a form of withholding something is a form of neglecting consent. Because I was reading this thing, and this was really interesting, this girl online, and she was saying about how, because a lot of people tend to lie about who they are when they have sex with people.
Very true.
If it's casual. And this girl was saying like if you lie about your age or your name, that is a form of not having consent, which I thought was really interesting.
That's interesting because a lot of young girls lie about their age all the time to have sex with older guys.
Yeah.
Especially guys if he's like a celebrity, like a football player or like a superstar. Like girls who are 16 in the club who use their sister's ID will say they're 18.
Yeah, I've known people.
I've never lied about my age. I've not disclosed my age because I knew. Because half the women I've dated have been older than me. So
okay, nice.
If they've asked my age, I've not disclosed it because I'm like, why does it matter?
That's different though.
Why?
Because because you're not lying.
Sure, I'm not lying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, you're not lying.
And in regards to consent thing, it's like leading someone on.
Yeah.
Like if you're saying, oh yeah, I'm open to a relationship, but really you know that you're not, you're leading the person on, which isn't nice.
Yeah, it's neglect. Not neglect, but it's like a form of abuse, low key, I reckon. Like
it's definitely a form of manipulation for sure,
and a form of narcissism. Would you say maybe?
If they're doing it for their own desires,
benefit,
then yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I would say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. I have some dilemmas.
Go for it.
If you want to, I mean, true for your takes actually.
Sure.
I don't know if they're relationship based. To be fair,
that's fine.
I don't know whether to cut my friend off. I have tried to make plans with my friend, but he always does the most and comes up with excuses. Do I address the issues or do I cut him off?
When you say does the most, what does that mean? What do they mean when he does the most? As in, like, makes excuses all the time? Or?
I'm going to assume so. That's all I've got.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say match your investment to what his investment is. So instead of being like, you're a shitty friend, I'm cutting you off. If you try and make plans, with him, and then he isn't. He's not showing up in the way that he said he would, definitely address it. Be like, yo, like, what's going on? Why didn't you show? And then lower your investment into that friendship so that you don't become resentful.
Yeah, that's a good tactic.
Because if you continue to invest at that level and they're not reciprocating, you're going to build a level of resentment towards them.
And it's better to like be low key.
And I think it's better to lower your level of investment. Now, if it depends why they're doing it. If they're doing it because they've got something going on, etc., that's different. That doesn't mean you shouldn't lower your investment or expectation, but you don't have to kind of cut that friendship off. But if they're doing it in a way that feels like they're disrespecting your time, then you don't have to say we're not friends anymore, but just lower the level of energy you give to that person.
I think it's amazing how many friendships could be saved by effective communication.
So true. So true.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like friendship breakups are like really rough. I actually find friendship breakups are like quite heartbreaking, to be honest.
I don't know if I've ever had one.
Really?
As in, I might have friends who I've just fallen out of touch with.
But would you say they're friends though? Because because I actually had this conversation with my friend last week. I don't count someone as a friend if we're not in touch or if we don't see each other.
Sure.
Obviously, there's a time period.
Yeah.
But like for most of my friends, if it's been like, I don't know, 2 months, I like to call and be like, hey, what's good? But there are people who I eventually won't do that with.
Yeah, of course.
And like, I don't count them as a friend. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's really important to see someone as an old friend or they were a friend. And it's okay for them to once be a friend and for there to be no hate.
Yes.
I think there's a very common theme that we really dislike each other. There's drama. It's like, well, no, like people just drift. It's a natural thing as an adult.
Yeah.
And I think adult friendships actually take a lot of work.
Yeah, they can.
With trying to find the time to balance that work, relationships, leisure, your own personal space.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? I think I do feel like the term friend gets overused quite heavily.
Sure. We need another term for somewhere between friend and like someone we know.
Yeah,
I mean, there's like colleague, acquaintance, but that feels still a little bit professional.
It feels robotic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We need another
Like work friend, like mutual friend.
You see, I think maybe I know what you mean in terms of friends. I say this might be a bit cringe. I say friends and then like my tribe. So if like you're my tribe, it's what you said. Like we'll be in regular contact. If I haven't heard from you for a couple of months, I'll check in. Likewise, your tribe is people you take with you in life, and then you have people who are your friends who you're on good terms with them. You know them. Maybe if you see them at a party, you'll chat to them loads, or maybe you worked with them and you got on really well.
Then like that hasn't really maintained since.
Yeah, but maybe they're not part of your tribe,
Yeah.
so you know they've just not come with you in this journey of life.
It's like being in this industry though, like obviously we're both creatives and it's like there's so many people who I've met who I like adore. I think they're great people, but they're not my ride or die.
Yes.
If I see them at an event, I'm so excited to see them and I probably won't leave their side for the whole evening.
100%.
But like they're not invited to my wedding.
Exactly.
Do you know what
friends and tribes? Like friends, people.
I like that. Friends and tribes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like, what would I say? I think cutting off can be quite, I think people like act quite irrationally in the moment.
Yeah, they can.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's really important to like reassess and actually try and balance like the pros and the cons. Because for me, my thing is, I think, okay, if I have like, because again, like, I guess I'm kind of similar to you. I haven't like had many like disputes with friends really, like anything that's like had a long-term effect.
Yeah.
So for me to cut someone off, you've really pushed my buttons like excessively, and to the point sometimes they don't even deserve the closure because it's been so like difficult. You know, those ones where, and I think a lot of people, like I said before, can't take criticism, and it almost somewhat feels like a wasted like conversation. So it's just like, okay, let's just subtly like just leave it be.
Yeah, we're just not on the same frequency.
And then
so
if I'm not hearing from you, that quite clearly shows I'm the only one putting my energy and time into you.
Very true.
You know?
Yeah, I hear that for sure.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, let's not cut him off excessively. Let's try and find a calmer approach.
Yeah, definitely lower your investment into that friendship and then see how that plays out.
Okay. I'm lost with my boyfriend. He is the kindest, most generous man I have ever met. I've never felt so secure in a relationship. However, something is missing. Jesus. He cannot deliver physically. It's becoming a burden how much he can't. Yeah, how much he can't. Wait, have I read that wrong? Yeah, it's becoming how much of a burden he can't. And you know the worst thing is, right? This is someone who follows me, so now I'm intrigued to know who it is. He isn't a grower or a shower.
Oh, okay.
That sucks. How do I get over the man of my dreams giving me, if not the worst, how do I get over the man of my dreams giving me, if not the worst, one of the worst sexual experiences I've ever had? I have nothing to say.
I hear that. A few things come to mind. First thing is just to put things into perspective. I'm not saying that the sex part isn't important. But in a relationship, the amount of time you have sex compared to how much time you spend with them is less than 5%.
Okay.
Now, that's important. The fulfillment is there. I would ask, can he learn to satisfy your needs? Is there a way that you can work in the bedroom to satisfy your needs if they're not being met? If you're saying your needs are 100% not being met, but you still want to stay with this person, is it worth asking or exploring an open relationship? If that's not on the table and there's no way that this person can meet your needs, which I don't believe, then I would say maybe it's not for you. But if someone tries hard enough, even if they're not blessed down there, they can meet your needs in other ways.
I mean,
sexually.
I'm a real, obviously you probably see this differently. I'm a real believer in sizes and everything.
Yeah,
I've really I've never had to deal with anything small, but I've always, I've always emphasized that. Like I'm a real firm, because I've known people, I've had friends who have been with people that have like absolute rockets,
Mm.
right? And like they don't know what to do with it, because I think when you're like more beneficial with regards to size, you can be lazy. I think
Yes.
that's a massive thing. I've known
Yes, for
quite,
sure.
and I know friends who have actually told me they're like that, which I
Yeah.
think is atrocious. To be honest, I think it's really, really bad. But that's like a narrative that's kind of been like fed to us, that if you are more fortunate with size, you can be lazy and that's enough. But there's like, do you know what I mean, you need to have motion, you need to like have a rhythm, you need to
Yeah.
like, or even like oral alone. Do you know what I mean? Oral's important too.
100%.
Do you know what
There's
I
more than
mean?
one way. And one thing I was going to say as well is that with this person in this scenario, if you're saying that he's your dream man, he's perfect in every other area, but this is the only area, it is way harder to find someone who brings all those other things than just an amazing sexual,
Yeah.
lustful experience.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing is that that is something you guys can work on.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't make you feel safe or secure, if somebody isn't emotionally consistent, if somebody isn't considerate of you and your emotions, if somebody, doesn't invest their time in you, doesn't plan their future with you, you can't force them to do that. So you
Yeah.
can meet someone who gives you the best time of your life in the bedroom,
Mm.
but doesn't bring those other things, and you can't force them to do that. So just to
Yeah.
put into perspective, you can work on the sex, you can't work in anything else. So I'd say he needs to work in it and have the courage to have that conversation with
Yeah.
him. It's difficult, but if you're serious about this person for the rest of your life, you will thank yourself for
That's
it.
what I'm saying. Communication's so effective when like used properly.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting because you got to think, how many people do we probably know or have known that have been with someone because they have really good sex, right? And I think that's the driving factor for a lot, especially young people.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, like, okay, like they can't communicate, they're not very emotionally intelligent,
Yeah.
but they know how to hit.
Yeah. And that's why people go from situationship to situationship to situationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you okay, do you think that having a good sex life is fundamental? Do you think it's like, or having not, okay, maybe not a sex life, having good sexual chemistry? Do you think that's like vital in a relationship, in a healthy one, in one where like you are sexual people as well?
You need chemistry. You need chemistry. I would say having a healthy sex life is a need, but that's something you both can work on.
Cater to each other's needs.
Yeah. Now you can both build a better sex life together if that's what you want. If you both have the courage to do that openly, you can do that. I don't think chemistry is important, but you shouldn't select a lifelong partner based on chemistry. That I disagree with.
How so?
Because if you're just choosing because the sex is great and the chemistry is insane, there may be so many other things that person doesn't bring that is actually conducive for a long-term relationship.
And you neglect everything else in the meantime.
And if you're so used to, it's funny because people select with people who they have chemistry with, but it's actually easier to find someone with chemistry than someone who has all these other things. It's way easier. It's so easy to find someone you have physical chemistry with, to find someone who understands you,
Yeah.
who wants to understand
Agreed.
you, someone who wants to share who they are with you and wants you to share who you are with them and wants to build a life with you. That is so hard to find.
Yeah, agreed.
Chemistry is easy to find.
Yeah.
And you're going to select on chemistry? Good luck. You should have chemistry, but if that's your number one selection criteria,
You're like,
and you find just
point.
don't, and you're like, why am I not finding a relationship? I'm like, well,
yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I do.
That's what I think.
No, I agree. I think there needs to. I think balance is the most important thing.
100%.
But like, yeah, it's like you say. Like because I've met people where like we've like physically like been very compatible, but like, and I find that like a lot of people, and maybe this is just the trend that I have. I find like a lot of like men my age are very immature.
Sure.
There's this scientific thing that a man will not want to mature until they reach their either late 20s or their 30s. And the more people that I talk to, and I feel like date's a bit generous, but the more people that I talk to and meet and do whatever with, it's becoming very apparent that that's the case.
When you say mature, what do you mean?
Their values change.
Sure.
Their take on compromise changes? Because I've met a lot of guys that aren't willing to hear my side or have to have the last word. I remember this one guy, absolute wanker, and sorry, silly Billy, and he always had to have the final word.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, which was an ugly trait. But
Yeah.
but like sometimes the situations are so apparent that you just like from the jump. And with that I did. There have been some where it's a bit more subtle, but with that I was like, you actually can't talk to me like this. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have to stand up for myself. I was like, you can't speak to me like this. I'm a human.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like having some fun, do you know what I mean? I'm not an object. We should still be able to normally conversate.
Yeah. I think there's a correlation between. Sorry to cut you off.
That's okay. You're good.
I think there's a correlation in wanting like a long-term partner to someone's investment in growing in the areas of themselves that helps facilitate that.
Yeah.
So if you're not looking for something serious, why do you have to learn how to listen? You're only looking for something casual. Like if you're not looking for something serious, why do I have to learn to consider your emotions where I go? Like you're only looking for something casual. But it's only when you're looking for something serious, or not only, but I think there's a correlation. When you are looking for something serious, you're like, okay, these areas I actually have to work on if I want to have that kind of relationship now.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's what it is. When they get to their late 20s, that's when they're like, okay, maybe I should have something serious. And that means there's some work I need to do and I should start focusing on that about myself. Do you know what I mean?
I do. Do you think though, like there are different wavelengths though? Because not recently because I've matured, but like I've had it where like you'll do the deed,
Yeah.
and like after like they're so cold,
Oh,
like,
yes.
they're quite dismissive, right?
Yes.
And then but you have the variation of where some people are very much like, okay, I'm done, so are you, so be gone, or I'm gone, or whatever. But then you have the others where like it's a bit more. I don't know what your experience is with like friends with benefits or whatever, or casual.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have the other case where like afterwards it's a lot more like you can chill together after. I mean, post-nut clarity is like a massive thing, isn't it? Like
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think we're all guilty of it. We've all contributed to it in some way, shape, or form. Like, annoyingly, as men, it just happens. Do you know what I mean? I feel like we
For sure. That's definitely a thing. Yeah, I have found, even if we know it's a casual thing, I've only found with one or two girls that I've been with where it was like, okay, we've hooked up and now they're gonna leave or something like that. And I've always found that very strange. And I think because even if I'm having something casual with someone, there's still a level of connection that is important for me. Like I have to like who you are as a person.
Yeah, agreed.
Admittedly, I wasn't always like that. Before it was just, oh, she's really hot, cool. Literally.
It happens.
Yeah. But then it gets to a point you're like, right, I'm giving my time and sexual energy to someone I don't even like. Like, why am I doing that?
And you have to like think of like everything like that not equates but like adds to it, because you're spending time actually traveling back and forth.
Sure.
More than likely you're probably going to like maybe have food with them or chill or something. Do you know what I mean? Like it equates to a lot. How do I tell someone I like them but I'm scared of rejection? So I think it's saying, how do I tell someone I like them but I am scared of rejection?
Sure.
Yeah.
You don't have to say I like you. Just ask them out on a date.
And if they say no, you know.
Then if they say no, you know. Yeah. I mean, no risk, no reward. Like rejection is a part of life. We have to, because I'm an actor, people will look at my journey and be like, wow, he's been really successful in his career in that sense. Because I've kind of, I've been in the industry for 9 years and I've been so fortunate and I've not stopped working. Like West End, I won an award for my films last year. Got 2 films coming out this year. But most of my auditions, I get a no. Like most of them are a rejection. Rejection is just part of life. So when you accept that rejection is a part of life, you just go, okay, cool. I want to see if this is an avenue I can go down. If they say no, cool. Then that's not the avenue for me.
Yeah.
So no risk, no reward. So you don't have to say, hey, I like you. Just ask them. So like, hey, like I think you're really cool. Like, you down to grab a drink this Friday? Let me know. If they say no, that's rejection. If they say no but try and reschedule, then
there's something there.
Yeah, 100%.
It's in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Nice. Sweet. We have one more.
Yeah. Go for it.
How do I put boundaries in place without offending my friends? I love my friends, but they don't always respect me when I tell them I need space, or I don't want to disclose specific information. How do I move forward without this causing upset?
Okay. So how do you basically say you need space so they don't feel offended? And how do you basically say, I don't want to share that without them thinking you're rejecting them? The stance of communication. I would say,
agreed.
Hey man, like I love spending time with you, but sometimes I just need my own space to recharge. And this weekend is just one of those weekends. If you say, oh, I'm doing this because that's how I recharge, they go, oh, okay, cool. You're not saying no to me, you're saying yes to you. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So if I say that to you, if you're like, oh, hey kid, do you want to hang out this weekend? And I'm like, Jordan, I just need some time for myself. I feel a bit depleted, but let's definitely catch up another time. I'm not saying no to you. I'm saying yes to me. Right, and that's not the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
In regards to sharing information, just be like, nah, I don't want to talk about it. I'm not ready to talk about it. And that says, okay, cool. It's not that he doesn't want to talk about it with me. He's just not ready yet.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like also people can be quite entitled to want to know people's information.
Yes.
But I've had it before where and this is my thing, and it's a toxic trait which I really need to get rid of.
Go on.
It wasn't one of the resolutions, annoyingly. But so someone will say to me, oh, Jord, such and such, what's this, what's that? And I'll be like, I don't want to talk about it. And they'll be like, oh, well, what is this type of thing? And I said, this is my repetitive line. I was like, look, if you keep asking me, I'm just going to lie about the response.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see.
I'll give you an answer that isn't true. So please just stop asking me. And then that usually works.
Oh, interesting. Why do you say that?
Because if they keep on asking me until they get a response, I will just lie about it.
Okay, so essentially you kind of be like, if you keep doing this, there's going to be a consequence that you just won't know, but I'll say something.
That sounds like a more intellectual way of putting it, but yeah.
Yeah. I understand that. I mean, human behavior, consequences work. Like, why do we not?
Agreed.
The reason people behave is because there's consequences.
Yeah.
In society, that's why.
Agreed, yeah.
If there wasn't any consequence, I always think, The Purge, the film.
Yeah.
I'm like, if there was one day where all crime was legal, what would people do?
I'd lock myself away.
Many people would do a lot.
Yeah.
They would do a lot.
That's why I really want to go to Germany and drive on that motorway.
Oh, so do I. I so want to. I'm going to at some point.
My friend has a girlfriend who lives in Germany, so he's staying with her at the moment. And I can't remember if he did or if he didn't, but I definitely remember reading or talking to someone about something and they're saying, mate, it's like a different world on that motorway. I'm so intrigued by it.
I wonder how many crashes they have.
Too many.
Do they?
Too many, surely. I mean, I don't know the
oh, really? Oh,
I'm
mate.
just assuming.
I'd be so curious.
Because the M25 scares me enough, so God forbid what it must be like on the...
What's it called? It's like the Autobahn or something.
What do you mean, sorry?
I think that motorway where there's no speed limit, it's called the Autobahn motorway, I think.
I just don't get how you achieve anything though. Like, what happens if you want to pull off, but some idiot's going 100 behind you? You know what I mean?
Well, you better be smart.
Yeah.
You better, know how to slow down, do 110, then come over. Yeah, don't go on the motorway if you don't know how to handle it.
No, I definitely would skip it. 100%.
I would definitely go on. And I don't know. Since I've got this car, I got this car a few years ago. Man, my speeding tickets, you just don't even know, and it's not on purpose. But it's just...
So I've got this really dodgy app, right? And I don't know what... So I was... Because I don't know if you found this, and if it's just me. My insurance decided to go up loads this year, right?
Oh, really?
Loads. For no reason, just because car insurance has got more expensive.
Yeah.
And I think the automatic renewal was an extra £400. I was like, no, you're really good. Let's leave it.
Yeah.
So I found the cheapest rate possible, but I didn't read the instructions properly. This one had a sensor, right? So when it came in the post, I threw it in the bin because I didn't read the rules properly, and then they sent me an email and they were like, "Have you not driven for X amount of weeks?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And they you haven't registered the sensor, and I have no, because I literally didn't even look at it. I just saw it and threw it in the bin.
That's hilarious. That's so funny.
Because I thought, well, obviously, because I've never had a black box or anything, just never.
Yeah.
So I thought, why would I start at 25? No,
yeah,
sorry.
Exactly. Yeah,
sorry.
I agree. I agree.
So then they were like, well, if you don't register it in X amount of days, we're going to cancel your insurance. I was like, okay, cool. So they reset me another one, and it's completely wrong. I've like done things I probably shouldn't have done and it hasn't caught. And my score's like 96 out of 100.
It's good.
Yeah, for like the stuff that I did. So I drove from my house to the O2 a few weeks ago to go to a gig, right?
Yeah.
Which is a long drive. Like it's like, because when I drive like to here, because obviously like I drive to like Hillingdon to get the tube in because it's like quite close.
Sure.
And that's like just over an hour really, maybe an hour and a half at a push, which I don't think is that bad.
Nice.
But to get from where I live to the O2 was 3 hours.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, you're on the M25 for a lot longer, so that'll be why. And there were a lot of slips and speeds and it didn't pick up. Got 5 stars for both journeys. My mate was like, I don't believe it. I was like, neither do I, but quite clear the sensors on my side.
Amazing. Mate, good for you, man.
Yeah.
Keep it in, lower that insurance.
I mean, obviously, I don't think I'll get a sponsorship off them now after what I've said. But if anyone needs the tactic.
Actually, maybe you will, because people will be like, cool, give me the black box, low insurance, and it doesn't even pick up if I'm doing anything wrong. That's an ad in itself.
So,
That's an ad in itself. That's funny, man. Maybe I'll get it.
I'll show it to you after. I was my friends couldn't believe it. They were in disbelief. It's so good.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, big up the insurance company.
Do it, man.
Sweet. All right, my friend. We are. Yeah, I believe we're finished.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, man.
No, likewise.
I appreciate it.
Likewise. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation.
Yeah, agreed. So, how do people find you?
So you can find me on all platforms on Stay Slick with Kit on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok.
Sweet.
There you go.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy.
I appreciate you.
And you.
Right, guys. My name is Jord. If you made it to the end, big up yourself. Do you know, I get really amazed when people make it to the end because podcasts are long, aren't they? I'm like, even like 20 minutes, I get quite gassed by that. But like an hour and a half, I appreciate you if you've made it this far.
100%.
My name is Jord Hellwood, and this is the Winning Side Podcast. If you've made it this far, I believe you may as well like, share, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, we will see you sooner than later. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, and all of that good stuff. And yeah, in a bit.
See you in a bit.